Greetings from Snake Mountain Boat Works on Thursday, March 23, 2023. Here's an update on our 1961 19-foot Lyman Runabout. What I'm going to do is simply hand it over to Joe so that he can walk us through what we've discovered at the back end and at the front end, underneath and inside. Take it away, Joe.
Yeah, so as we started getting everything taken apart, if you remember from the last video, all the covering boards were all flaked, and that doesn't really show that there was any kind of stain on it at all. So I went through and stripped it, got it all kind of rough sanded in right now. But the biggest thing that I want to say is on this back part is the only amount of rot that I found in this entire boat. And what happened was there was a little shelf bench right here. And what happened was there was nothing to seal the shelf that sits to the transom. So water was just wicking behind it, and as you can see, it just decayed it right out. And luckily, as the water came down on the transom, there's not hardly any rot in it at all. It kind of just went behind one layer of the veneer. So I'll be able to, get out the CPES it with a bunch of coats and just certify that there's nothing else is going to spread to it. And as far as rot, that was the only piece on this entire hull. As I went on the underside of it last night, I just kind of wanted to see how sound it was, and I took a gaffer hook. Every single seam on the strakes were as tight as they could possibly be, and it looked like the previous owner used some kind of seal in between the strakes. And as it happened, I'm pretty sure it was a 5200, or not 5200, like a 4200 or something that doesn't fully cure. And I was able to just pull a little bit out, and as I looked underneath it, I tried to find any kind of cracks or anything like that, and it's completely sound.
So we'll seal that with the seal or with the...
With that, I would probably, especially just around the keel, I would probably end up using a Fixo Flex. As far as everything else, it's super tight, so I don't really foresee needing to do anything like that. I would just reprime it. Actually, I'd refair it, reprime it, and then go ahead and put the new bottom paint on it.
Is the bottom paint good enough so we don't have... You're going to strip it?
We'll just have to abrade it because it's like the black chalky paint, the bottom antifoul.
Oh, it's okay.
So it should, where it's flaked off, we'll just kind of go underneath it with a sander once over and get it cleaned up so that the new stuff will be able to adhere properly to it. And as we move forward, I found out why there is such a sag right here in the front of the helm. There's very, very little framing on this bow deck system, like at all.
That's amazing because it's a monster.
It is an absolute monster. So what I did is I pulled up the deck to where it needed to, where it lived, and I put a block down just to kind of get the right arch of the deck, and then I made a new sister frame that is behind this original frame.
And you raised it?
And I raised it 3 inches.
Wow.
And then just forward of that, I found it this morning, there's kind of like a little void just forward of the windshield. And that's because the only framing is right here, and then there's a frame right here.
But that frame doesn't go across.
Right, and that one doesn't go across because of the scuttle hole. So basically what I'm gonna do is run a mid-frame all the way across and have it be down just a hair. You won't be able to see it unless you're underneath the deck, but I'm gonna have 3 support blocks, one under the king plank, and then one on each side of it to make sure that it's stable, because right now you can still deflect the deck quite a bit. And being made out of plywood, we need to beef up the framing for sure, because there's lack thereof at the moment.
Well, tell me about this decking. It looks
It's
incredible.
Actually incredible shape. The funny thing is the only amount of stain that I found on here was after the windshield, and that's where you can see where it's a little bit lighter of a color. Right here it was all just abraded, varnished, and as I stripped it, I was surprised there was absolutely no kind of stain on it whatsoever, so I don't know if maybe the sun cooked it out or what, so I just was able to go over it once with stripper and then just go over it with a sander just to kind of even it out and get it ready for our next steps.
So we'll be bleaching it next.
We will be bleaching it.
Yeah. And the tow rails just are, I mean, it's just,
They are in incredible shape, and well, most of it, I mean, pretty much all this boat is plywood, minus these. This is plywood, decks are plywood, the strakes are plywood, but I'm telling you, I mean, being a lineman, I've worked on a lot of them, and I've never seen one where the hull or the bottom is in such great shape.
so at this point, we've got all the innards stripped. We've got the decks and covering boards stripped, so now we get to play with the transom and the hull sides.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, can you believe it? I mean, this is perhaps the soundest Lyman that we've ever had in the shop in the history of Snake Mountain Boat Works. The owners are not only going to have a wonderful boat, they're going to have a boat that's wonderfully original. And with that, we'll end this update on our 1961 19-foot Lyman Runabout. Thank you so much. Bye-bye for now from Snake Mountain Boat Works.